Welcome to the Natural Health Show with one of New England's leading holistic specialists, Mark Mincola. Call Mark at 617-822-1969 on 96.9 Boston Talks.
Welcome home, Natural Health Nation. Great to be with you here on this radiant September Sunday. Just before we get started, I'd like to pay personal tribute to the memory of thousands of fellow Americans who made great sacrifices 10 years ago. And Catherine Foley is here with me today. Great to have you on board.
Great to be back with you.
Special time today.
It absolutely is. Wonderful day and
much like the day it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, a good time to reflect and say thank you and also pay our respects.
And also to salute those great Americans who continue to keep us safe, lest we forget. So,
absolutely.
Very special time, and salute to all those great, brave Americans. And today we're going to talk about something that is, of course, no stranger to anybody's life these days, unfortunately. But, we talk about 9/11, and the world has never been the same since. And we've, in many respects, kind of gotten back on with our business here in America, of course, as we do. And there's still an awful lot of, I think, stress, an awful lot of trauma, an awful lot of depression and anxiety. There's an awful lot that we all have to contend with. Of course, nowadays, the economy is another great source of stress in so many families and so many individual workers' lives. But again, it's not like stress is going away. It's not like stress conditions in America are getting better. They're really, truly not. And
and there's, unfortunately, there's not a lot in our society that it's not becoming a stressor now. The media, a lot of the, our work life, our home life, kids are just back to school now, and everybody's gearing up for their, busy fall schedule. And all of a sudden you're head deep in it, and you oftentimes forget to take care of yourself during the high periods of stress.
No question about it. And, stress and tension do induce the production of damaging hormones in the body. And a lot of folks, just think that stress is just something that happens in your thought processes and kind of messes up the rhythms of your life, but it also messes up the way your body functions, the way your mind thinks.
Right. And, we oftentimes tend to think about stress just mainly as it affects your mind and your brain, but your nervous system is all over your body. There's a large portion of your nervous system that actually resides in your intestinal tract and your stomach. And so feelings of anxiety and stress, they start a biofeedback loop, and it starts to biofeedback to your whole body, making your muscles more tense and your nervous system tightens up, and then therefore it just feeds more stressful thought patterns into your brain. And so you have to be very careful, because before too long you'll just get yourself in a vicious cycle of stressful thinking.
You're absolutely right. And the American Institute of Stress tells us that 90% of all doctor visits are rooted in some kind of stress. 90%. The National Health Interview Survey tells us that 75% of Americans experience at least 2 major episodes of stress every month. So we're talking about an awful lot of growing issues related to stress, and 40 million Americans routinely saying that they experience stress at the workplace or in school. School is one of those things that we tend to take for granted. A lot of kids being, diagnosed with ADD and ADHD. To me, that's a reflection of stress. A lot of stress in their family lives, a lot of stress in the demands in their lives. And, it's really important to realize that stress begins very early in the American lifestyle, and it kind of follows you through the entire course of your life experience. So, from the time you're a young child all through your work experiences, and even later in lives, as folks reach those golden years, there's a tremendous amount of stress all the way through the process.
Right.
And a lot of the solutions that are offered are not that viable. They're not that safe in many cases. They're not that trustworthy. There's not a lot of great understanding of stress and what to do about it from a natural perspective. The culture really has pretty much separated itself from that whole notion. So it's really an important message that folks know that there are natural, safe solutions that have been well studied and have been completely readily made available at the counter at the health food stores of America. So,
well, yeah, and I remember you and I had done a show on pharmaceuticals and how overly prescribed they are in our society. And I think that, stress manifests itself in many different ways in exhaustion, frustration, anxiety, depression. And, those depression meds are so overdiagnosed. And when you do that, you're not actually dealing with the stressors that are presenting themselves in your life.
A little bit of camouflaging going on.
Camouflaging it, yeah. So it's all about recognizing stress and doing little things to be able to manage it on a day-to-day basis so it does not build up and become one of those things.
You're absolutely right. One of the things, too, that really inspires me to kind of focus on the myriad of aspects regarding stress, all but forgotten is the fact that America's obesity levels are just climbing steadily. And America's problem with overeating and weight gain is climbing steadily. And yet very few folks talk about that connection between the stress that's in their lives and the way it affects them with regards to their approach to eating. And there's so much stress eating and drinking that takes place in the culture that's rarely spoken about. So I think that people do need to know that there are safe, viable, well-studied options that are available in the natural health food stores.
Right.
So we're going to talk about 3 of those this evening, right?
Yes. And I just want to send out a quick congratulations to my nephew, Travis Foley, for winning their Beverly Panthers football game today, the Spartans.
All right. Congratulations, Travis. Nice work. And it is that time of year for high school football and kids getting settled back in. And congratulations to him. And, to your point earlier, this is the time when everybody has to kind of get their schedule turned around. And it clearly is a stressful time for a lot of moms out there as well.
My sister-in-law, Tracy, this show is for you.
So we're going to talk about those and many other issues, but remember, we're looking for your phone calls as well. In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it's a free call. Just dial pound 969. And we love answering your questions regarding any such issues, natural medicine, nutrition, dieting, etc., weight loss. That's pretty much what we're here for. And Catherine Foley from Jarrow Formulas is joining me. And my name is Mark Mincola. You're listening to The Natural Health Show, heard only on 96.9 Boston Talks. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Boston Talks, mornings with Jim and Marjorie.
Right off the top, the Sal DeMacy sentencing. At 7:45, NECN sports guy Chris Collins previews the Patriots opener.
And then we're joined by MSNBC's Ron Insana. He'll tell us about the effects of Obama's speech on Wall Street.
Jim and Marjorie, weekday mornings, 6 till 10 on 96.9 Boston Talks. The brain requires nutrition just like the rest of the body. Although many of us depend upon caffeine for focus and concentration, caffeine is not actually a nutrient. Real nutrition is needed to enhance brain metabolism and provide antioxidant protection. This is where Jarrow Formula's Neuro Optimizer comes to the rescue. Neuro Optimizer is a concentrated source of the nutrients needed for memory and mood, for concentration and focus, all without being a stimulant. Neuro Optimizer supplies the building blocks for neurotransmitters, the chemicals that allow cells in the brain to communicate and to file away memories. Acetyl L-carnitine and alpha-lipoic acid support brain energy production. Phosphatidylserine, L-glutamine, and taurine enhance brain stability and detoxification in the face of stress. Neuro Optimizer is the nutritional answer to the brain's needs. Ask for Neuro Optimizer at your local health food store, or for more information, go to jarrow.com. That's JARROW for the best in brain health formulas.
Do you own or manage a natural health, fitness, day spa, or go green business? Perhaps you have a unique restaurant that offers healthy entrees, heart-smart seafood, vegetarian or lighter fare options. I invite you to share your vision and deliver your message directly to health-conscious New Englanders by becoming a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, New England's #1 health radio show. The Natural Health Show is now welcoming potential sponsors to join our natural health family by offering a number of creative and flexible sponsorship packages. For information on how to become a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, simply call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. Be a part of New England's natural health revolution. Join our Natural Health Show family today.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it's a free call. Just dial pound 96.9. And Catherine Foley is here with me from Jarl Formulas. And we're here to happily take your questions regarding natural health issues, vitamin issues. We saw you lost in the aisles of the health food store this week, scratching your head, musing about what you were looking for. We're here to clear those confusions. So give us a call again at 617-822-1969. Catherine, one of the things we talked about earlier regarding the idea of stress is that there are viable natural ways to manage it. And one of the first things that comes to mind and that we talked about introducing tonight and talking a little bit about is 5-HTP.
Right.
5-hydroxytryptophan. Talk about that a little bit.
5-HTP is a natural supplement. Sometimes they get it from Grifona seed extract. But 5-HTP helps to support serotonin production in your brain. And so it helps with depression, anxiety, nervousness, for people with seasonal affective disorder. This is a type of stressor, when your body is having difficulty, dealing with those changes and you have some, depression, you can try something like 5-HTP. They sell it in 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams. 5-HTP is also a precursor to tryptophan in your body. And we know tryptophan,
is a precursor to serotonin.
Yeah, and it's also the turkey chemical.
There you go. All those people passing out in the lounge chair.
Happy and full. And, so tryptophan is, serotonin is the chemical that just, you feel happy.
Elevates mood.
And
helps
a lot
with
of
sleep and anxiety and depression and pain and appetite.
Yeah. And a lot of the pharmaceuticals out there that are for depression, they basically work on modulating serotonin as well in the brain. So, that's what we're after is elevating those serotonin levels, lifting you out of, an area of depression and the chemical depression as well.
And it's been studied at the National Institute of Health. It's been studied overseas. A lot of research in Japan, a lot of research in Sweden as well. But there have been hundreds of studies, and again, the idea is that 5-HTP is a safe and a very natural and an efficient way to drive up your serotonin levels. And again, I think this really is all about serotonin, the idea that serotonin is a mood elevator, it's a mood modulator. Right.
And, 5-HTP has also been studied for weight loss. And the reason why it is effective for weight loss is exactly the connection that you made prior to the break, is that in periods of high stress, we tend to eat when you eat and you eat some good comfort food, your body actually creates serotonin as a response to it, and epinephrine and norepinephrine and all of these excitatory, chemicals in your brain. So when you take 5-HTP and you have good, healthy serotonin levels, you have a feeling of satiety, like satisfaction. You feel full.
Well, and there are some studies as well that indicate that when you take 5-HTP for mood, to elevate that mood, to try to help neutralize mild to moderate depression or anxiety, the idea is that it's better absorbed when you and I eat carbohydrates. So in other words, if I have a meal where I'm having some brown rice and some beans or something that's kind of carby like that, I'll better absorb and better utilize that 5-HTP for the reasons you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So that's really important. How about dose?
Dose, 5-HTP comes in either 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams. And, anything, we're all bio-individuals. And I always recommend for people, if they're starting something, to maybe start with the 50 slowly, milligram. Yeah, because you can do 100 if you want, or you can do 200, or you can back down to 50, but the recommended dose is usually around 100 milligrams.
Well, and I've recommended 50 twice on a number of occasions for patients, 50 in the morning, maybe 50 in the afternoon. And again, I think the idea is that it's different for everybody. A lot of the research, a lot of studies say 150 milligrams are the really effective doses to produce positive mood-type results. We're talking with Catherine Foley. We're talking with you about the idea of using natural substances, over-the-counter health food store type substances like 5-HTP for purposes of mood elevation, stress, depression, anxiety. And we're also here to take your calls in Boston, New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless uses free call pound 969. And we'll take your calls regarding these issues, regarding stress, natural ways to help manage stress, or virtually any natural health type issues. So the idea of using 5-HTP, any contraindications that you can think of?
Yes. When you're on a depression medication,
Yep.
an SSRI or an MAOI inhibitors,
Yes.
you don't want to take them at the same time. So you're going to wean yourself off of your medicines, your SSRIs or MAOIs, under the supervision of a doctor or a naturopath or what have you. And then you can take the 5-HTP. But other than that, no.
Great advice. Also, there are 5 different amino acids that actually compete for the absorption. Leucine, isoleucine, tyrosine. There's a number of different amino acids that when we're... A lot of folks are into the bodybuilding thing and really cranking protein. A lot of folks are still into the Atkins kind of diet business where they're cranking up proteins, try to lose weight, get thin, get fit, fit. But, those folks may have to be a little bit cautious about, the way that they eat when combining the 5-HTP and looking for results, for the simple reason that, it's been shown in a number of different studies that those folks who are on the high-protein diets, taking protein powders, may not get the same positive effect because there are amino acids that actually compete with the absorption of 5-HTP.
Yes, they decarboxylate the 5-HTP pathway, so they kind of deactivate it.
They deactivate that. So the idea of, again, at least picking a meal, perhaps the one meal of the day where you're going to use a little bit of carbohydrate activity, like we said, a little bit of rice, baked potato, those kind of things with your meal. Better to take that 5-HTP following that experience because, again, those carbohydrates are going to make it a little bit easier to get the job done. Let's get to some calls where we've got Melanie on the line from Maine. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're in the Natural Health Show. Hello, Melanie. Melanie from Maine, are you there? Well, we'll let her try to get back in here. I don't know what's going on. We may be having a little bit of technical difficulty there, but Mike will take care of that. But, the idea that there's efficient ways to set yourself up for better absorption with some of these nutrients as well. And I think one of the huge issues with natural medicines like this, especially the 5-HTP and the GABA, which we're going to talk about as well, is brain barrier, absorption. The idea that on paper, that these are really important nutrients because obviously they're part of that whole serotonin assembly line in the body.
Right.
But what about the fact that we've got to penetrate the brain-blood barrier for absorption? Is it possible for you and I to really count on good enough absorption to have that real powerful antidepressant or anti-anxiety effect?
Right.
Not to have just another supplement that's over-the-counter that's supposed to be good that doesn't do anything for you.
Right. And one of the formulas that we'll talk about a little bit later is GABA Soothe by Jarrow. And the GABA that we use a raw material called Pharma GABA. And, when you buy vitamins from a company that makes their selections wisely because they're, it's about their brand, it's about the integrity of the brand, we'll use products like Pharma GABA, which they have clinical research that shows that it crosses the blood-brain barrier.
So it does absorb, it does cross the brain-blood barrier, and it is something that will produce a positive effect.
Yeah, so, and I always tell people, it does maybe seem like all vitamins are the same.
They're not.
They're not, and there's going to be little differences. And when you go to your health food store or a place like Good Health Natural Foods, these guys know the ins and outs.
They do.
They really do know the technicalities.
They absolutely do, and so does Jarrow Formulas, and that's why you're here, because we have great faith in you as a company to make sure you take care of all those finer points that ensure us absorption. But you're so right about that. Yeah. So many folks will come to me during the course of the week and say, I tried taking 5-HTP and it didn't work, or I tried taking GABA, it didn't work. You really have got to take the time to search out the brands that do the homework and really make certain that your absorption issues are covered. That's really good. All right, we got to get back to Melanie. She's back in the line from Maine. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks for the Natural Health Show.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I just would like to know what your opinion would be on children taking melatonin, if that's something you think is okay for them to use, and if so, if you would prefer the liquid dose or the pill form.
Well, first of all, I don't think there's a problem with taking melatonin. I think that you can certainly regulate the dosing a little bit more easily at a lower level with drops. You're going to generally get 3 milligram tablets or capsules. I think the other part of that is that children often have a very difficult time swallowing capsules, and it's a lot easier doing drops. So I think, number one, you want to probably go with the drops. It's safe to do. And the other thing I would suggest is you probably go under the 3 milligram dose for children under the age of 12. So if, for example, 5 or 6 drops equals 3 milligrams, you probably want to go down to half of that, so 2 to 3 drops probably, and no more than that.
Okay, and that's based on age and not weight?
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, I think for the most part, you're going to see a lot of these supplements that are generally safe to use regardless. But generally speaking, children under the age of 12, like most of your over-the-counter medications and supplements, are kind of geared for trying to adapt those doses way down for children under the age of 12. I do the same thing here, so cut your dose in half.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
All right, let's get to Jake in Quincy. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Oh.
Hello, Jake.
Yeah, hi. What's your opinion on the book Transformations with Michael Bandler, I think, and the mind-body connection with stress and anxiety?
Well, I'm not familiar with that specific book, Jake, but the whole concept of mind-body medicine is something that I certainly embrace and feel very, very strongly about. In fact, I'm, an advocate of the idea that holistic medicine begins not really with the cells, but really begins with the mind, the thought processes, the unconscious mind, and a lot of the musings of the unconscious mind, of course, really setting up a lot of the emotions and setting up a lot of the repetitive kind of behavioral patterns that are positive or negative, and affecting immunity, certainly. So I think that it's really a very, very important issue. I haven't read that specific book, not familiar with it. There are many good books out there these days.
I think it was called Transformations.
Well,
Bandler.
Okay. It's TRANCE Transformations by Dr. Richard Bandler. Yeah, I love that book. It's actually, that is a book that I've read, and it's one of my favorite books. The thing I like about it, again, it's TRANCE Formations. And it's really all about tapping into the fact that we really are in and out of trance a number of times throughout the course of the day. We tend to overlook that fact that when you first wake up in the morning and you first fall asleep at night, many courses during the day you're gazing out a window or a car window and at a stoplight, you kind of space out for a moment or two. Your brain is moving into trance, and that trance is a very receptive download period. So for a lot of folks who have very serious negative emotions and repetitive sort of negative feelings and concepts that sort of keep them from evolving, from growing, from healing, those are really important times to sort of assert a download that's positive. And that's really what that book is about. And there's a lot of great exercises at the end of each chapter. It's easy to read. It's very easy to understand. And there's some great exercises, some brain and some mind exercises that are extremely helpful. It's a great book.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for calling.
And Jake, Dr. Mincola is actually being quite modest because he's probably one of the best mind-body practitioners in New England.
Oh, thank you so much, Catherine.
Yeah, from what I've learned from you, it's amazing.
Thanks. Well, let's make sure folks know that they can call in again. It's in Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users free call pound at 96.9, and let's go to Deborah from Canton. Deborah, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
I've always had an issue with giving my daughter fluoride. Mm-hmm. Our water doesn't have fluoride, and I've always been told to give her drops of some sort.
Well,
and I've read a lot about both sides.
Yeah, well, there's the book that I like is the name is really very difficult to spell, so don't ask me to spell it, but it's Dr. John Yamoyanis. So there's a book that he's written about fluoride, and again, you can certainly Google that or search that, and if you just search fluoride and then try to kind of misspell John Yamoyanis, you're gonna end up with it. But it's a remarkable book. It's really, really well documented, and I think he did the most thorough job. I've read a number of different fluoride books, and to me, that book is probably the most thorough book in terms of the investigation work that he did, etc. So, but no, I'm definitely in agreement that fluoride does not belong in water. It doesn't belong in toothpaste. And, there are warnings on the side of those toothpaste commercials that if you swallow too much toothpaste, it's time to go to the ER.
Right. Well, there was a Scientific American, actually, a couple of years ago, had like a 6-page article about the whole story of fluoride and the politics of how they lobbied to get it into the drinking water. And the reason why they were publishing the story was because they actually looked back at a lot of the clinical studies that were used as an advocate for this legislation, and the clinical studies were not necessarily conclusive. So,
absolutely true. And again, it was one of those situations where there was money to be made by taking a refuse product. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, too, wasn't the aluminum foil industry involved in that as well?
Yes, it was a byproduct.
A byproduct of the manufacturing of aluminum foil that was thrown away heretofore. And then I think they decided that they could make millions by finding placement. So there's a lot of lobbying that was done to generate income around the whole concept of fluoride being put in water and toothpaste and all that business.
There's a good video. I apologize, I'm not knowing the author of the video, but the title is called The Fluoride Deception.
That is a very good video. That's a very good video. So check out some of those books. Dr. John Yamayanis. It's YIAM, and then you're on your own from there. He should have changed his name to Jones. I think he probably would have sold a lot more books. Let's go to Samantha from Jamaica Plain. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm actually going through fertility treatments right now, going through IVF, and I wanted to know what natural ways I can not only deal with the stress of dealing with IVF, but also maybe contribute to my success of fertility conception. Yeah,
I will, Samantha, I'll recommend one of the products that we haven't talked about yet. It's an amino acid called L-theanine.
Okay.
And L-theanine, we have it in our formula, GABA Soothe, with GABA and theanine and ashwagandha. But what theanine does is it helps the brain to produce alpha waves.
Okay.
And alpha waves are the brain waves that you have in REM sleep.
Or when you do yoga or Tai Chi or
which
something.
I'm just picking up again now to deal with all this, actually. I'm doing the mind-body program at my center, actually, specifically for this.
Yeah,
okay.
And the theanine is going to help you when you have moments of high anxiety, when you feel yourself having like kind of stressful or repetitive thought patterns, because with the IVF, you're taking a lot of hormones, and a lot of those hormones can kind of promote like stressful responses.
You don't say, really.
So, a lot of women take theanine too for some of the hormonal stressors that happen, and you take it, and an hour later, you can definitely feel it working.
Okay.
And it's really natural. It's the component in green tea.
Okay, so it's something I would be safe if I am successfully pregnant, and I'm in a period right now where I don't know. It's safe to take if I'm possibly pregnant.
Yes.
It's a food-grade supplement, and again, the research indicates it's about 30 to 40-minute wait time until you start to feel effects. But it reduces dopamine levels. It also increases serotonin, and actually helps regulate the blood pressure. It's anti-hypertensive. Yeah. So it's really, you know what it is, too? It's like what nature does, of course, is there's always a natural system of checks and balances. And obviously there's phenols that are very stimulating in green tea, that stimulate the immune system. And there's also caffeine that naturally occurs in there as well. So nature says, look, we're going to counteract those stimulants with this agent that sort of goes in the other direction and is anti-hypertensive and more of a relaxing and a soothing agent to kind of balance that supplement or that natural leaf out. So green tea is really sort of, I guess I'd say that it has a real high concentration of potentially stimulating and relaxing agents. And what they did is isolate this.
Yeah.
So it's really part of the natural green tea that relaxes you. But I think, Catherine is really right on the money. The GABA Soothe, Jara Formulas, makes a great product called GABA, GABA Soothe, SOOTHE, which is really clinically documented to produce response, but it has both the GABA and the theanine in there together. And I think the key is brain-blood barrier business. This idea we talked about a few moments back, making sure you've got a brand that you will absorb, a brand that really does make it through the brain's blood barrier, and it is indeed one of those. So again, that's called GABA, G-A-B-A, Soothe by Jara Formulas. Hey, we're up against a break time. We're going to take your calls in just a few minutes, so you stay tuned. My name is Mark Mincola. You're listening to The Natural Health Show. Show. Catherine Foley is here alongside from Jarrow Formulas in Boston and New England. 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users. Free call, pound 969. Stay tuned.
This weekend, mark the 10th anniversary of September 11th with 96.9 Boston Talks. Salute the day and honor the heroes who walk among us with Jim and Marjorie, Doug Meehan, Michael Smirkanish, and Michael Graham. Commemorate history and look ahead with 96.9's 2-hour commercial-free 9/11 tribute to our first responders, Sunday night, 7 to 9. Thank you, first responders. From all of us at 96.9 Boston Talks.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health. We're excited to partner with Life Extension, the industry leader in anti-aging and optimal health for over 30 years. Life Extension funds and reports scientific breakthroughs on anti-aging protocols and nutrition, then formulates cutting-edge supplements based on that successful clinical research. So when you purchase any science-based Life Extension supplement from Good Health, you can be sure of its potency, purity, and efficacy. They work. It's that simple. In fact, Life Extension supplements are complex nutrition made easy. So visit Good Health in Quincy and Hanover today. Ask about Life Extension's premium quality formulations, anti-aging as well as weight loss, hormone balancing, bone and joint health, heart and brain health, and so much more. Learn more about Life Extension products at goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Then pick up your free copy of Life Extension magazine at your local Good Health store. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
You know, when most people hear the word allergies, they think only of hay fever-like symptoms associated with airborne pollen, dust, and mold. But did you know that many experts estimate that between 60 and 80 million of us suffer from immune-related food allergies without even knowing it? Furthermore, food allergies often contribute to serious health problems such as autism, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD, headaches, and chronic ear infections. Now, there's an effective way to identify and eliminate both your food allergies and the troubling symptoms that they aggravate. Allotest Medical Labs at foodallergy.com offers a full complement of clinical, environmental, and food allergy testing to help you get to the root of your allergy problems. Allotest also provides you with a comprehensive rotation diet, lifestyle booklet, and a wallet card to help you live food allergy-free and stress-free. Do you wonder if you or your loved ones are among the 60 to 80 million food allergy sufferers in America? If so, log on to Allotest Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Talk to your doctor about ordering a food allergy test from Allotest Medical Labs today. Foodallergy.com. Make sure the food you're eating isn't what's depleting you.
The brain requires nutrition just like the rest of the body. Although many of us depend upon caffeine for focus and concentration, caffeine is not actually a nutrient. Real nutrition is needed to enhance brain metabolism and provide antioxidant protection. This is where Jarrow Formula's Neuro Optimizer comes to the rescue. Neuro Optimizer is a concentrated source of the nutrients needed for memory and mood, for concentration and focus, all without being a stimulant. Neuro Optimizer supplies the building blocks for neurotransmitters, the chemicals that allow cells in the brain to communicate and to file away memories. Acetyl L-carnitine and alpha-lipoic acid support brain energy production. Phosphatidylserine, L-glutamine, and taurine enhance brain stability and detoxification in the face of stress. Neuro Optimizer is the nutritional answer to the brain's needs. Ask for Neuro Optimizer at your local health food store, or for more information, go to jarrow.com. That's JARROW for the best in brain health formulas.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, a free call, pound 969. Now, just before we get back on track here, we take care of our own here at the Natural Health Show. So we've got intern extraordinaire Alex Todorovic is in studio here just for a moment or two, because I know you've got an upcoming workshop that you wanted to talk about a little bit.
That's true. Our friend Candida introduced me to Deb Kane from Kaizen Computing, and I'll be teaching...
Down in Kingston.
That's true. It's on 68 Evergreen Street in Kingston, Massachusetts. This Thursday, me and Deb will be teaching a class on how to build your own website on WordPress.com.
Interesting. So how would people get in touch with you to enlist?
Well, you can call to make reservations at 781-585-1619, and the website is kaizencomputing.com. It's KAIZEN computing.com.
So tell us now, when folks come in and take this program, are you going to give them some tidbits of nutritional advice at the end of the program, or what? You've learned a lot here.
Definitely. This has been a really great experience working on the radio with you.
Well, it's been great having you on board. But what have you learned? Tell me what you've absorbed here over these months.
Well, I've definitely taken a lot more into account in how carbohydrates and proteins break down in my diet, and I've started adding greener vegetables to my breakfast.
Nicely done, Alex. And I know that your mom's working at it as well, yes?
That's true. Me and my mom talk about health a lot together, and she does a lot of gardening.
Aww.
This year, we've grown eggplants and green beans in our backyard.
Great. So we want you to know that we certainly appreciate all the hard work you do for us, running about and taking care of all those odds and ends and making sure we're properly podcast for everybody to be able to watch. So you've done a great job. We love having you on board. And once again, why don't you mention real quickly how folks can get on board with the web seminar that you're putting together.
Right. We'll be building WordPress websites this Thursday at 68 Evergreen Street in Kingston, Massachusetts. The phone number is 781-585-1619, and the website to enroll in the class, it's a one-day event, is kaizencomputing.com, Kaizen.
Alex Todorovic, thank you so much.
Definitely.
Have a great workshop. All right, we got to get back into business here. We've got, let's get a patient waiter here. Lisa from Jamaica Plain, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks from the Natural Health Show.
Thank you. My therapist of 5.5 years just recently relocated, and psychically I'm okay about it, but physically my body is breaking down. I feel like I have an ulcer. I just can't get control of my body in terms of her leaving me.
Well, first of all, you don't want to say you can't. You want to say that up to this point in time you've not been able to. That keeps the door open mentally for getting the job done. But in terms of stress, I mean, some of the things we've talked about here tonight might be really helpful. Of course, as we said during the break, Catherine and I were just kind of reiterating that the greatest results, of course, happen with those folks that not only take the natural supplements, but those folks who take care of themselves and take the time to eat really wholesomely. So really important to make sure that diet is part of the equation. But I'd recommend, one of the products that we spoke about earlier, which is the GABA Soothe, GABASOOTHE, GABA Soothe, and it's by Jarrow Formulas. It's a really superbly formulated product. It has the GABA in it, the gamma-aminobutyric acid. It also has the theanine that we just talked about. So these are well formulated from a company that actually is going to help you, I think, get some good high-quality absorption. Catherine, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, and Lisa, maybe some extra theanine. There's 100 milligrams in the GABA Soothe, but you can buy extra theanine and take up to 200 milligrams a day. When you're in a stress pattern and your stomach has tons of nerves in it, and some people, their stress response is to get knots in their stomach and lose appetite and all of that. And so when you don't feed your body, you actually start putting it under more stress. And that's what we were talking about, the biofeedback loop. So the important thing is to just try to stop that, break the cycle with things like theanine, and then, start to nourish yourself and eat good foods and simple foods, and you'll slowly start to, but it's great with anxiety too.
It is, and one thing that I'd like to add to that too is magnesium might be a really good idea because, to me, one of the ways that we recover naturally from stress on a day-to-day basis is sleep. That 7.5 hours of REM sleep is the body's and the brain's natural way to recover from the stresses of the day and to kind of reset the mechanisms.
Right.
So magnesium, especially, magnesium taurate, is a great nerve membrane stabilizer, a great way to kind of get that rest and start the process of kind of neutralizing and recovering from the cumulative stress that you're contending with on a daily basis. So I agree with that.
Yeah. And, in the brain, there's what we call the alpha waves and beta waves. So alpha waves are the brain waves that promote relaxation, calmness, reduce anxiety, increase mental alertness, and the beta waves are the stress waves. So the reason why these nutrients are important is because we're trying to support the production of alpha waves and decrease the production of beta waves. And sometimes, it's a chemical activity going on in the brain, and you can, take simple solutions to help switch that.
Absolutely. Does that help at all?
That was awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take good care. Thanks for calling. All right, let's grab another call here. Let's get to Mark from Boston. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks from the Natural Health Show.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask you a question. What would be a good natural remedy to treat acid reflux?
Well, I think first things first, you probably want to, if you ever have an opportunity to get into Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy or Hanover, or you can contact them by phone. It's Good Health, and again, Quincy or Hanover, and ask them for the pH strips. You can test your first morning's urine, and if your pH is really low, if it's in the 5 range, if it's in the low 6 range, you probably want to start thinking about using some liquid chlorophyll to try to buffer your pH. That's number one. Number two, I mean, there's some great products, I think, like DGL products. DGL is a superb way to support your reflux. I think another thing is the gum mastica is really good. Mastic gum is really a great remedy. So the 3 things I'd recommend after you test your pH and determine that it's very acidic, very low, and then you want to act upon it by getting yourself some chlorophyll. You also want to support yourself with DGL and gum mastica, MASTICA. I think those 3 things will get the job done.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. All right, I think, do we have Dallas on the line? Mike, do we have Dallas on the line? We do. All right, we've got somebody that you're very familiar with, Catherine?
Yeah, one of my favorites.
One of your favorite main veins.
Dallas is our educator, formulator, researcher, and he writes a lot of the literature that we do. He's incredibly knowledgeable and, an amazing asset for us at Jaro Formulas, and we love having him on the show.
Dallas, welcome.
Good to be here.
Great to have you on board. We're talking a little bit about, stress, as you probably know, and we're talking about things like GABA and things like 5-HTP and things like theanine. So very important, these 3. But, one of the things that I really constantly talk about and am asked about is this absorption business, the brain-blood barrier. In other words, it's all well and good to have something that on paper is part of that whole serotonin chain, but where the rubber meets the road is whether or not it's absorbable. So what about that brain-blood barrier business?
Okay, this is, as you point out, a very big issue because a lot of things are active on both sides of the barrier, nevertheless cannot cross. Now, this is, of course, for our own protection. We should keep this in mind, that it keeps all sorts of viruses and bacteria out of the brain, a lot of toxins out of the brain. But the problem is that it also means that the body sometimes has to go through elaborate mechanisms to control what actually gets in. And so if you look at, we were talking about stress and GABA or theanine, if you look at how the body naturally controls the amount of precursor to serotonin, which is one of the anti-stress hormones, if you look at how the body controls this, it is oftentimes indirect as to how you get it into the brain. So you control, for example, how much insulin is in the blood, how much carbohydrate is available, to indirectly control how much serotonin or its precursors can cross the blood-brain barrier. And again, GABA, nice item, but not all forms of GABA apparently can cross the blood-brain barrier.
So you would probably be able to answer the question as to why GABA Soothe from Jaro Formulas.
Okay, this is not a synthesized GABA. This is a natural product, and this actually have been tested. I mean, they're all GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay, but sometimes it is the items that are connected with this. Again, just like this indirect path for getting serotonin into the brain. Okay, it is some other very minor items that have to be connected with this. In the case of the pharma GABA, which is used in GABA Soothe, that influences. This is a fermented product. So it's a natural fermentation product that influences how this crosses the blood-brain barrier. So it's very difficult to get straight GABA into the brain.
Yeah, no, I've read on a number of different occasions, different various researchers that talked about the importance of things like fat and olive oil, for example, which actually helps assist agents into that brain-blood barrier. Is that true?
Yes, these sorts of things. Well, in fact, as you know, that a lot of nutrients, unless you have a proper carrier, don't go anyplace. I like to point out that's a CoQ10. Well, your body happens to have these little fat protein packets that are necessary to carry the CoQ into the tissues.
Right.
Okay. The same is true of a great many things. Vitamin D is brought into the system, as you mentioned, fats, for example. Vitamin D is brought into the system via what's called the lymphatics in the thoracic system, and that's the way in which a lot of things that are fat soluble are naturally brought in, which is different from the way that things that are, proteins or carbohydrates are brought into the system. Mm-hmm. So this can be a very major factor.
So the way that these formulations were developed for jar formulas, there's somewhat of a natural fermentation process that make these food-grade supplements more absorbable. Is that true?
That's right. Pharmagaba is, after all, a clinically tested item.
Okay. And
so you have an effect with the Pharmagaba that you do not see with the same amount of straight GABA. If you're using the amount of GABA as the marker here, that you just don't see the same effect by getting, say, X milligrams of straight GABA as you do by getting that same amount of GABA as Pharmagaba. You just don't.
Wonderful. In Dallas, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'll love to ask you about the synergy of all the ingredients in GABA Soothe and how they work well together.
Okay.
All right, hang in there. We got to get caught up. We'll be right on back. Stay tuned.
Turn on your mind. 96.9 Boston Talks.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health. It's back to school again, and now more than ever is the time to think healthy. Nutrition experts know that 70% of the human immune system resides in the belly, so eating healthy and taking the correct probiotic is important. Don't be fooled by all those yogurt ads. The truth is, some yogurts do have small amounts of acidophilus, but they also have sugars and extra calories. There's no substitute for the real thing. Everyone in your family will benefit from probiotics. They improve digestion, metabolism, skin health, and general detoxification. Come see us in Quincy and Hanover. We're online at goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Visit our children's sections and ask about Nature's Plus Animal Parade Gold Chewables with probiotics and vitamin D, and our delicious chewable greens for kids. Pick up some antibacterial products and eco-friendly lunch totes. This fall, protect your whole family naturally with Megaflora, New Chapter, and Renew Life probiotics. Good Health Natural Foods, where back to school is stress-free and affordable. Come by and see us today, and thanks for listening.
Do you own or manage a natural health, fitness, day spa, or go green business? Perhaps you have a unique restaurant that offers healthy entrees, heart-smart seafood, vegetarian or lighter fare options. I invite you to share your vision and deliver your message directly to health-conscious New Englanders by becoming a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, New England's #1 health radio show. The Natural Health Show is now welcoming potential sponsors to join our natural health family by offering a number of creative and flexible sponsorship packages. For information on how to become a sponsor of the Natural Health Show, simply call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. Be a part of New England's natural health revolution. Join our Natural Health Show family today.
There's a fine balance between what's best for your landscape and what's best for your family. This is why Aspen Environmental Services of New England is proud to be an industry leader in the use of environmentally responsible products for outdoor pest control, tree and shrub spraying and injecting. Applications control Lyme disease ticks, caterpillars, adelgids, and 200 other pests that damage landscape. Visit the plant healthcare professionals at treeandlawncare.com. That's treeandlawncare.com. Or call 888-418-BUGS and mention Candida because listeners get a 10% discount. That's 888-418-BUGS. treeandlawncare.com. Get them before they get you.
The brain requires nutrition just like the rest of the body. Although many of us depend upon caffeine for focus and concentration, caffeine is not actually a nutrient. Real nutrition is needed to enhance brain metabolism and provide antioxidant protection. This is where Jarrow Formula's Neuro Optimizer comes to the rescue. Neuro Optimizer is a concentrated source of the nutrients needed for memory and mood, for concentration and focus, all without being a stimulant. Neuro Optimizer supplies the building blocks for neurotransmitters, the chemicals that allow cells in the brain ability to communicate and to file away memories. Acetyl L-carnitine and alpha-lipoic acid support brain energy production. Phosphatidylserine, L-glutamine, and taurine enhance brain stability and detoxification in the face of stress. Neuro Optimizer is the nutritional answer to the brain's needs. Ask for Neuro Optimizer at your local health food store, or for more information, go to jarrow.com. That's JARROW for the best in brain health formulas.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
And welcome back, and we are online with Dallas Kulatra. And Dallas, are you still there?
Still here.
You're a good man to be patient through those commercials. So, Catherine, you had a question, yes?
Yeah, there's several different ingredients in the GABA Soothe, and they all work synergistically together. And Dallas, I was wondering if you might be able to explain that for folks that are listening.
Okay. Now, keep in mind that what we're aiming at with the GABA Soothe is sort of relaxed or calm awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're not talking about putting someone to sleep. You're talking about promoting calmness while maintaining mental focus. Okay. And makes it easier, for example, to promote learning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what you find with the pharma-GABA is that is sort of the opposite number of what's sometimes referred to as an excitotoxin. You've heard of monosodium and glutamate. That glutamate overly stimulates aspects of the brain, where GABA is the opposite number, that it blocks that excessive stimulation. Without putting you to sleep, it blocks that excess stimulation, so you're calm. But there's more to it than that. If you look at the theanine has an indirect effect on GABA in the brain itself, but the theanine also promotes the other neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what you're seeing is a balance. You're promoting a balance here of the neurotransmitters that are calm, awake, relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we add the sensorial ashwagandha extract, which is going to be proven to reduce fatigue and tension and exhaustion. And this works in part by helping reduce cortisol,
mm-hmm.
which is your stress. You were talking about this earlier, I'm sure, about the stress hormone, cortisol.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's face it, most of us are not in a position in the fight or flight to go out and do either one. We just sit there and take it. Okay, and so the system sort of churns and churns and churns. It's like sitting in your car. You've got the brake on, but you're revving the engine. And you're not just doing a little bit, you're doing a lot. And, of course, it doesn't do your engine very much good. That's the stress on the body. Okay, and so the ashwagandha helps reduce that type of excessive revving, the pounding pulse, the excess serum cortisol. And ashwagandha itself is referred to as an adaptogen for that purpose, that it helps bring the body back into some sort of centering or alignment. So by adding the three of these together, you're hitting multiple components of what it is to be focused, mentally awake, but relaxed.
I might also add that ashwagandha has a remarkable 5,000-year history in Ayurvedic medicine, so there's been a lot of empirical and a lot of subjective information that's been gathered over the thousands of years about the effectiveness of ashwagandha, yes?
Absolutely. It's sometimes referred to as the Indian ginseng.
Yes.
But the nice thing is that for our purposes here, is that the ashwagandha is, it's calming. Okay, ginseng tends to be more, let's say, more tonifying. Tends to be more in straightforwardly invigorating for physical activity, whereas the ashwagandha reduces fatigue and tension. And we tend to forget, and we're a stress type culture. Okay, our solution to exhaustion is to drink more caffeine. Okay, so we tend to forget that the natural solution to exhaustion is to get some sleep. Mm-hmm. All right, and so what you find with the ashwagandha is that it reduces tension, reduces that cortisol response, so your body can right itself, and that's how you reduce the fatigue. That's how you reduce the exhaustion, because your body can actually recover.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on board with the concept of using 5-HTP, GABA, and theanine together for calmative purposes, for mood management, etc. You feel comfortable with those three, yes?
Yes. I mean, the 5-HTP is the precursor for serotonin. Serotonin being required as one of these, as you say, the calmative neurotransmitter in the brain. And let's face it, we don't typically eat the foods that are precursors here.
No, we don't. Unfortunately.
Again,
unless pizza is one of the precursors.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Pizza and soft drink are not precursors.
No, I don't think those qualify.
So, all right, the idea, again, of absorption and the effective delivery of these agents, to me, is the real $64,000 question. And I'm assuming the same thing is true with theanine, as we just spoke about with 5-HTP and GABA. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, let's face it, theanine is nice to find. Theanine is a natural product in tea. Okay, it's famous for certain types of green teas and the oolong teas. And my brother, who actually lives in Taiwan, says that that in those cultures there, they bring their tea with them because they want because it has this alert calming effect. Okay, incredible. So this is a big deal.
Well, once again, as always, you're extremely helpful at helping us flush this stuff out at a real biochemical level. So, Dallas Kalatra, we thank you so much for joining us, and I'd love to have you come back again very soon. You're a great pleasure to have on the Natural Health Show.
Well, it's always fun.
Thank you so much, Dallas.
Thank you, Dallas.
All right, so we've got we're up against time frame here. It's always fun to hear from him, though. He's got so much to share with us.
Yeah, Dallas is just his handle on the information is amazing, but Dallas also has just a great way to make it relatable for folks.
He sure does. Now, I know you like massages, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about stress. Massage is a great way to help manage the whole concept of stress. At our offices down at Santi, we have a stress buster treatment, $45 for 30 minutes. Yeah. And it really focuses on this idea of stress, trying to, utilize different techniques to get the stress moved out of your system.
Yeah, well, what we talked about is once the tension occurs in your muscles just continue to tense up, and they just will get worse and worse and worse. And massages are really great way.
And to release that is incredible. And in our program, we've got combinations of Chinese acupressure, Reiki, reflexology, Swedish massage, so it instantly pulls that tension right out. If folks are interested in that, they can check out 781-383-3393 for that Stress Buster experience. And Catherine, it's been great to have you on board.
Thanks. It's great
as always. Look forward to getting you back in here. And make sure, folks, that you check out the Jarrow website. What is that Jarrow website?
Jarrow.com, Jarrow.
That's an easy one. All right. Also, we want to thank Mike Roberts for doing a great job here in studio, always does. Alex Todorovic, of course, intern extraordinaire. And you want to keep in mind his workshop that he's got coming up this week. So, anybody that's interested in watching any of these broadcasts in podcast form, you can go to maxhealing.com. And this Thursday is a little time change in my Fox 25 morning show segment. It will be on at 8:55, not 8:50. So I'll be doing Fox 25 Thursday morning at 8:55. So tune in and check that out as well. I'd like to thank Candida as well. And I want to make sure that you all tune in to the wonderful program that follows ours. Stay tuned to Woody and Abby and Right Turn Radio, which is, of course, the only terrific radio program regarding addiction in New England. #1 New England program as far as addiction goes. So check in their program as well. And until next Sunday, this is Mark Mancola reminding you all, please be wise, be aware, be well. Make it a healthy week. Good night.